What if I told you that slow blood flow in your legs after 60 isn't a circulation problem at all? It's a muscle signaling problem most doctors never explain. As a surgeon, I see this every week. Seniors who walk every day, elevate their legs, even take circulation supplements, yet their legs still feel heavy, cold, swollen, or weak by the afternoon. And here's why that matters. Poor blood flow in the legs isn't just uncomfortable. After 60, it dramatically increases fall risk, slows wound healing, worsens nerve pain, and quietly raises your chances of clots, ulcers, and loss of independence. Most people think circulation is about the heart, but below the waist, blood doesn't move on its own. It relies on a specific group of muscles to physically pump it back upward. And after 60, those muscles weaken faster than any other. By age 70, nearly 1 in 4 adults has measurable circulation impairment in the legs, and many don't feel it until balance slips or walking suddenly becomes exhausting. This is where most advice fails. More steps don't fix the problem. Compression alone doesn't fix it. You must activate the muscles that push blood upward or circulation stalls, no matter how healthy your heart is. Here's the good news. Surgeons don't guess about this. We know exactly which movements restore blood flow fast because we see the difference before and after surgery, rehab, and recovery. In this video, I'll show you 5 simple surgeon-approved movements that increase blood flow in the legs, often within days, by reactivating your body's natural circulation pump. I'm saving the most powerful one for last, because once you understand how it works, you'll never think about leg health after 60 the same way again. This could be the difference between steady walking in your 80s or struggling to stand by your early 70s. Let's start with movement number 5. Movement number 5, the circulation unlock, ankle signaling reset. Starting with movement number 5, this one looks almost too simple to matter, and that's exactly why most people skip it. But here's what makes it powerful. This movement isn't about strength. It's about reopening the signal pathway that tells blood it's allowed to move again. Here's what's actually happening inside your body. After 60, the ankle joint stiffens, and the nerves around it fire less often. When that signal weakens, your lower legs stop sending a clear message upward. Blood moves down easily, but the return slows. Pressure builds, fluid lingers, legs feel heavy even when muscles feel fine. And this is where it gets important. If the ankle doesn't move smoothly, the rest of the circulation system never fully turns on. That's why swelling shows up later in the day. That's why socks leave deep marks. And that's why walking alone often doesn't fix the problem. So now that you understand what's happening, here's how we reset it. Sit in a chair with one foot lifted slightly off the floor. Slowly draw a circle with your toes. 5 times in one direction, 5 times in the other direction. Keep it controlled, like you're moving through thick resistance, then switch feet, no strain, no speed. What matters isn't how hard this feels, it's what it triggers internally. Those circular movements wake up joint sensors, reactivate nerve signaling, and tell your circulation system it's time to move again. And when that signal returns, pressure, stiffness, and fatigue begin to change together. That's all you need to do. But here's the key thing most people miss. This unlocks the system. It doesn't finish the job. If you stop here, blood will still settle again once you stand up. Now that the signal is awake, we need to turn it into motion. And that brings us to movement number 4, the one that starts pulling blood upward instead of letting it pool. Movement number 4, the upward pull pump. On the surface, this seems almost too easy. But here's what makes it powerful. Because ankle circles unlock the signal, but they don't create enough demand to keep blood moving once you're upright. This next movement is what turns that signal into a real upward pull, the kind that changes how your legs feel by the afternoon. To understand why this works, we need to look at what's happening beneath the surface. When you lift your knee, even seated, you activate the hip flexors and upper thigh muscles. And those muscles sit right on top of the large return veins in your legs. Every controlled lift becomes a gentle squeeze and release cycle that helps move blood and fluid upward instead of letting it settle back into the ankles. Here's the part most people miss. Many seniors walk with stiff hips and short steps. That means the upper leg pump barely turns on, so circulation stays stuck in the lower legs, and symptoms return the moment you sit down again. So now that you understand what's happening, here's the safest way to activate this response. Sit tall in a sturdy chair, feet flat, shoulders relaxed. Now lift one knee 2 to 4 inches, just enough to feel the front of the hip engage, then lower it slowly. Alternate sides like a calm, marching rhythm. Aim for 20 total lifts to start. If that feels easy, go to 40. You should feel warmth building, not pain. This doesn't just help one thing, it affects multiple systems at once. As that upper leg pump wakes up, legs feel warmer, less stiff, and easier to move by the end of the day. But this still isn't the strongest circulation trigger. This sets the stage. The next step creates a full body demand that forces blood flow to rise fast, even in people who feel weak. That brings us to movement number 3. Movement number 3, plantar pump activation. This is one of those movements that doesn't feel important until you understand what it fixes. What matters here isn't what you feel, it's what your blood and nerves are doing. The bottom of your foot is loaded with pressure receptors that communicate directly with your balance centers and your circulation system. After 60, those signals weaken quietly, especially if your steps become shorter or more cautious. And here's the part most people miss. When the plantar system goes dormant, blood return slows the instant you stop moving. That's why legs can feel heavy or unstable right after standing, even if you've already exercised earlier in the day. This is often mistaken for just aging, but it's not. So now that you understand the problem, here's the safest way to activate this response. Stand next to a counter or sturdy chair and hold on lightly. Feet about hip width apart. Shift your weight evenly through both legs. Now gently tap the ball of one foot into the floor, toes and forefoot only. Then return it to the starting position. Your heel stays planted, only the front of the foot lifts and taps the floor. Alternate sides in a slow, steady rhythm. No bouncing, no speed. Each tap creates a brief pressure signal through the foot, ankle, and calf. That one small shift creates a chain reaction. Sensory input increases, stabilizing muscles engage, and blood gets pushed upward instead of settling back down. Aim for 30 to 40 total taps to start. You should feel steadier and warmer, not tired. That's all you need to do. But here's where most people go wrong. This activates circulation while you're moving, but it doesn't train your body to hold blood up against gravity when motion stops. And that's why the next movement matters even more. Don't let its position fool you. Movement number 2 is a runner-up for the most important exercise in this entire sequence, especially for preventing falls and protecting independence. Movement number 2, the transition load, sit to stands. Our runner-up spot goes to the sit to stand, one of the most functional movements in orthopedic rehab for anyone over 60. And before you dismiss this as just standing up, here's what surprised even clinicians reviewing aging research. Large datasets referenced by institutions like the National Institute on Aging consistently link reduced chair riseability with higher fall risk, faster mobility decline, and earlier loss of independence. And that matters more than most people realize. Because once standing transitions start feeling hard, people avoid them, they sit more. And when sitting increases, circulation almost always gets worse, not better. Here's why this matters for blood flow. When you rise from a chair, your thighs, glutes, and calves have to contract together. And those large muscles sit right over the major return pathways in the legs. That coordinated contraction acts like a full leg squeeze, helping push blood upward instead of letting it hang in the ankles. Walking is helpful, but it doesn't always retrain this upright transition demand, especially if your steps are short, cautious, or you're stopping often. Sit to stands teach your body how to move blood when gravity suddenly changes. Here's how to perform this properly. Use a sturdy chair that doesn't roll. Sit near the front edge. Feet flat, about hip width apart, with your toes slightly in front of your knees. Lean forward slightly, then stand up smoothly. At the top, pause for 1 second and breathe. Then sit back down slowly, taking about 3 seconds to lower, no dropping. Do 6 to 10 repetitions, rest, then repeat for 2 total rounds. What makes this powerful isn't intensity. It's controlled load through the biggest muscles in your legs, repeated in the exact pattern that determines whether you stay steady when you stand up. But here's the key limitation. This builds your transition strength. It doesn't keep the calf pump maximally on when you're standing still. To fully lock in circulation against gravity, you need the most powerful version of the lower leg pump, the one rehab teams rely on when swelling and heaviness refuse to budge. That brings us to movement number 1. Movement number 1, isometric calf pump. The #1 spot goes to the isometric calf pump. And once you understand what this movement does inside your legs, you'll see why surgeons and rehab teams rely on it more than any other exercise for restoring blood flow after 60. This is the movement I teased at the beginning. This taps into a mechanism most people don't even know exists. Across vascular and orthopedic rehab programs, this exact movement shows up again and again because no other exercise keeps the calf pump activated as powerfully, as safely, or as consistently in older adults. This is the most direct way to force blood out of the lower legs and keep it moving upward against gravity, without medication, machines, or impact. Here's why this works. Your calves aren't just muscles, they're pressure pumps. When you rise onto your toes and hold, those muscles compress the deep veins in your lower legs and physically drive blood upward. The hold is what changes everything. It keeps the pump engaged long enough to overcome pooling, swelling, and sluggish return flow that builds up after 60. Walking doesn't do this. Ankle movements wake the signal. Seated lifts create motion. Plantar taps train dynamic control. Sit-to-stands retrain transitions. But isometric calf holds lock circulation in place when you're upright and still, which is exactly when blood wants to fall back down. That's why surgeons rely on this most. That's the why. Now let's fix it. Stand facing a wall or behind a sturdy chair and place your hands on it lightly for balance. Feet hip-width apart. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels as high as comfortable. Now pause. Hold the top position for 3 to 5 seconds, breathing normally and keeping your eyes forward. Then lower slowly, taking about 3 seconds to come back down. That's 1 repetition. Start with 8 to 10 reps. Over time, work up to 15 or 20 with control. The key here is the hold. That's where the real change happens. This sustained contraction keeps the calf pump fully engaged, improves venous return, reduces swelling, and retrains the exact muscles your body relies on when you catch yourself during a stumble. Clinical rehab data consistently shows that seniors who master controlled calf holds improve circulation, walking endurance, ankle strength, and balance confidence, all at once. And unlike high-impact exercises, this puts minimal stress on the joints, making it safe even for people with arthritis or balance concerns when done with support. So there you have it. 5 movements surgeons rely on to restore circulation, reduce swelling, and protect independence after 60. Walking is wonderful. You should keep doing it. But walking alone leaves critical gaps. It doesn't fully activate the muscle pumps that move blood out of your legs. And it doesn't train the systems that keep you steady when gravity changes. These 5 movements fill those gaps. And the best part? They take less than 15 minutes per day, require no gym, and can be done safely at home. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these movements surprised you the most? Or which one are you starting today? Drop a comment below. We read every single one. And before you go, don't skip the next video on your screen. It reveals a wall-based movement surgeons now say works better than walking for building strength, balance, and joint stability after 60. Most people overlook it because it looks too simple, but the results are dramatic when done correctly. Watch that next. It could change how you think about building strength from here on out. Thanks for watching.